Hello everybody, welcome to the video. So today we're going to be talking about something I really don't want to be talking about, and that is the issues with Canon's new firmware for the EOS R5 Mark II. So in this video we're going to talk about the issues with the firmware, how to avoid these issues, and then we're going to try and be a little constructive and talk about some possible solutions Canon can implement so that we don't have to deal with these firmware issues again. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so here's the thing. If you haven't installed Firmware 1.0.3 on your R5 Mark II, don't avoid it like the plague. Don't download it onto your computer. Don't download it onto memory cards. Don't download it to your phone. Just avoid it completely. This firmware has created all sorts of problems with the R5 Mark II, specifically focus issues. So it's screwed up a lot of focusing on lenses. So the camera will actually track subjects, but the lens won't actually focus, which is, I mean, only slightly irritating. Just like focus is only probably the most important thing on a camera these days. But yeah, so it has screwed up a lot of cameras. So if you have downloaded 1.0.3 and put it on your camera, fingers crossed, hopefully Canon has a solution soon. I'm hoping that it's just around the corner, a couple days away, because firmware 1.0.3 was released on March 18th and is now May 20th, the day I'm filming this video. So Canon has had a lot of time to address this, and I haven't heard anything or seen anything. Just a lot of people having issues with cameras. I made a video about firmware 1.0.3 like initially when it was first released, and a lot of people have comments in that video about issues they're having. So if you want to read those, check it out. Also, I highly recommend going out to check Ordinary Filmmaker, and he makes videos about Canon stuff, all sorts of things, but he primarily focuses on the R5 and R5 Mark II. So if you want to go check out his channel, he's always updating and talking about stuff with his firmware. So I definitely recommend his channel. And yeah, so that's the issue. Don't download firmware 1.0.3. All right, so let's talk about how to avoid these issues. I mean, not too long ago, what you bought was what you got. You know, nowadays you can buy a camera and you can update the firmware so you can get more features and enhance your camera over time. But it's a double-edged sword. Like obviously the R5 when it came out had some issues, and those were ironed out with firmware. But also like here with the R5 Mark II, you can download firmware expecting to upgrade your camera, but you get issues. So there's only one solution to this, and that's just don't put the firmware on your camera, or wait for other people to test out the firmware, and then check the web and look for, I don't know, posts, videos, anything like that, and see if there's any kind of feedback. Because if people have problems with the firmware or causes problems with their camera, they're going to post it on the web, and then you're like, okay, hold on, I'm not going to wait for the next firmware, right? So don't download the firmware right away, because my trust with Canon used to be up here. You know, with my R5, every time they uploaded a new firmware, I downloaded it and installed it, and it was great, and I trusted Canon. But now my trust down here, because they made a lot of mistakes with the R7 and now the R5 Mark II, and you know, so from now on, I'm not installing firmware for at least 3 months after it comes out. I'm going to wait to see what happens and what other people say, because I mean, these cameras are my moneymaker, right? And I'm sure a lot of you, if you're buying an R5 Mark II, you're probably professional level and you're using your camera for making money, running your business. So you can't have your camera go offline because of focus issues, right? All right, so if you downloaded firmware 1.0.3 and you're having issues with your camera, let me know in the comments down below. What are the issues you're going through? What's happening with your camera? And this is just to share it with other people in the community so other people can read about it and understand it. But yeah, so let's not be all negative here. Let's talk about some possible solutions to the problem. Like, if we think about it, cameras are just electronics. They're just circuit boards, chips, programs, operating systems. Canon should give us an opportunity or a way to reset the camera, like formatting a computer. You have issues with your computer, you can format it, reinstall the OS, everything works, right? So why can't we do that with the camera? Why can't Canon have some sort of program, maybe through their Camera Connects app, or maybe something built internally in the camera? Because memory is cheap. You can put a little card in the camera somewhere, some memory, and then the original firmware from factory can be installed on there. So if you have issues with newer firmware, you can always go back and reinstall, like format everything back to factory reset. And the nice thing with the 5D Mark II or R5 Mark II, wrong generation of camera there. But nice thing with the camera is you can save your settings onto a memory card, so you can format your camera, reinstall all the firmware, put your memory card back in the camera, and then take your settings and pop them back on the camera, which is awesome. So, I mean, if we could do that, that would be a huge game changer for us, because, you know, for having issues with the firmware, we could go back to factory reset, put our settings back on, and then go re-download the latest firmware, whatever it was, let's say 1.0.2 before 1.0.3, and reinstall that on the camera, and everything's good. So I mean, Canon, why isn't that a solution? Why isn't that something that your programmers or your engineers have already put into the camera? Like, you got to think ahead, because this is a huge issue with the R5 Mark II, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time you're going to be dealing with firmware issues. So have some kind of fail-safe built into your camera so that in the future we can just format and reinstall factory firmware, and then we can go back to your website and download the latest firmware before the firmware issues and just go from there. Like, that would, you know, because like I said, these cameras are money makers for a lot of people, and when the camera stops working, that really hinders people's businesses. So Canon, that would be awesome if you could, you know, engineer something that actually will help people with bad firmware. So yeah, that's if you have any solutions you want to recommend for, you know, dealing with firmware issues, put them down in the comments below. Share it with the community. We can all talk and, you know, share ideas and learn and grow and understand this Canon situation a little better. So yeah, with that being said, this video is over. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate that you're all here, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Canon Firmware 1.0.4 for the R5 Mark II comes out soon and fixes these issues. So yeah, there we go. Now you know, and I will see you guys in the next video.